might vary from day to day, but on average, what is your day like? What do you actually do?
So an average day for me, so at Intel, we as the finance community, you don't have a schedule, right? We work with people all over the world. So I may start my day at 6 and I'll call into a meeting with some of my partners in Ireland and Israel. Two of the factories I work with are out there, and I'll take that from home as I'm getting ready for work. I will get my kids off to school and I'll head into the office for a few hours. You know, we have an open community in here. I usually work not with finance people. We work in cross-functional teams, so I will be often the only finance person on a team with engineers, directors, general managers, and other stakeholders that represent whether it is on a specific project or a functional area of the business. And you'll have a good mix of meetings, which is sometimes in person with people that are actually on the campus. There's 10,000 people on the campus where I work. Often I am working virtually with people all over the world. We work very actively with China, Israel, Ireland, all over the U.S. And so as far as the actual work, I do a lot of NPV analysis modeling. I build models on new versus reuse on tools. So our tools at Intel range per tool, $1 million to $65 million for a single tool, plus install and all of that stuff. And so we do a lot of analysis on what can we do to make the tool work just a little bit better? How can we influence the team to take those risks in order to save purchasing a new tool? In addition to that, we do a lot of capacity modeling on my side of the finance business. Where should we put our loadings? How much should we have in Arizona versus Oregon? Or in California versus Israel? What are the tax benefits, right? So a lot of the stuff that you learn, your depreciation, your tax transfer pricing, all of that stuff we work on a lot. We do decision tree modeling, Monte Carlo, a lot of the same stuff that you use. And then you'll also have your normal work within your team, right, which is a lot of logistics, right, and team building and development of stuff within the finance community. That will take a part of your day. But Intel has what you call a flex schedule. So I can work in the office, I can work from home. If I'm a night owl, I can work from 12 to 4 in the morning. You don't have a set schedule. Your schedule is based around what meetings do you have to are on your calendar that you need to call into or be in person and getting your work done. You're measured on your deliverables and not the time spent. So I don't, I have the flexibility to take my kids to a soccer game or go to a spring training game and not have to use vacation time. So my job in corporate finance is very flexible. We wear casual clothes. I'm probably one of the more dressed up people. Most people cruise around in flip-flops, t-shirts. This is kind of what I would wear to work, but people tease me that I dress up too much. But it's a technology firm, so it's it's like creativity and stuff. So it's very flexible. People watch. I've been watching March Madness. We have big breakout centers with TVs and Xboxes and Wii's and pool tables and ping pong tables, and it's a very flexible environment.
Day for me, I'm a big fan of working from the office. Similar to what Brandi said, Vanguard offers the same flexibility. I can really dial into work from my laptop here instead of making phone calls through my laptop, and it would look just like I'm calling people from my desk. Considering that my managers are back in Pennsylvania, they really don't care where I'm at, whether I'm here, I'm at home, or I'm in the office. The reason I like to be there is because it's part of relationship building and getting to know your peers, and I find that I learn more while being in the office. So I usually go in, time of day really depends on when I have my first meeting. I have a lot of clients and internal business meetings. So what I described to you is earlier, the main function of my role being investment analyst and supporting investment committees. That's part of what I do, but on the internal side, I'm also the product owner for some IT projects that we're working on. So I'm helping to design what changes to our website will look like. So I have meetings both internally and meetings with clients throughout the day. As far as things that I work on specifically when I'm supporting clients, could be anything from a simple conversation about, creating a diversified investment lineup, making sure that you have a variety of styles offered, ensuring that in general participants can create their own portfolio. Right? So an investment committee came to me and I saw that they only had equity mutual funds that would bring a big red flag of why aren't there any bond offerings in this plan lineup. So I do some of that, but then I also get some of the investment committees that are more engaged. They're interested in knowing more. They might have actively managed funds in their lineup. Then you start to look at things like Sharpe ratios, alphas. You might compare them to peers. It really could run the whole gamut. It depends on what the client is looking for. And I know I mentioned earlier, I work with plans that have less than 20 million in assets. That's a very interesting space because on the smaller side of things, it might be a startup company. It could be a two-person firm. They might not be all that worried about creating a lineup because it's just two people. On the other end of the spectrum, if you start to get up closer to 20 million, it could be a manufacturing company with 400 or 500 employees. They're usually a bit more engaged and they start to ask more of those questions. But I really let the client dictate what the conversation will be. So that's kind of a day in the life of.
My schedule is somewhat volatile in the sense that there are times when there is not a whole lot to do. I use that time to really do a lot of reading, pay attention to the news, get some sense of what's going on in the country, both politically and financially, as well as the world, all of which impacts what goes on in the investment world. You try to be as in tune with everything as possible. That's the low ebb. The high ebb is basically this period of time we're in right now. We just finished a calendar quarter. At the end of calendar quarter, basically going to investment performance reviews. Creating investment performance reports takes probably 3 weeks from the end of a quarter, and then you start meetings with clients to review those and talk about what's gone on, what's likely to go on, what changes, if any, need to be made or tweaks to the portfolio. And then following that are typically investment committees for the institutional clients. It takes them a while to get organized and get the meeting scheduled, get all the people in one spot at one time. Those are pretty fun, particularly when the markets are serving them well. They all like to know that their oversight is producing some results that are tangible and in some cases significant. And everywhere in between. I meet with individuals on a regular basis, both to discuss their portfolios. Maybe they inherited some money or got laid off or whatever life's events happen to people, it tends to trigger some type of financial review and possibly changes to their investment strategy.